visionary, revolutionary. I'm a visionary, revolutionary.
What's going on, everyone? We're back and better than ever. It's your boy KB the Mark, and I'm here with my Mac Marvelous co-host Camille Salamander. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Can't even complain.
That is what I like to hear. First off, guys, I understand. First off, let me apologize. I know that we're 2 weeks behind on the weekly reviews, and that is to no fault of Camille Salamander's. This is completely my fault. I do have some real life issues, some health issues, some very serious and scary health conditions that have prevented us from getting together. I am in the midst of working on that so I can better myself and continue to grow with this channel. So I wanted to apologize about that. And if you're the praying type, just prayers up in the comment sections, prayer heads. If you pray, just pray for me. Keep me in your thoughts, prayers, because I definitely need the uplifting and the upliftment at this moment. But sorry about that, Camille Salamander. We got a lot of stuff to cover. It's been a crazy week of news. Before we jump into anything, what's been your temperature with the product over the past 2 weeks and everything that's been going on in the wrestling news?
It's been very confusing. For one, the whole build up to the unification tag team titles. As of right now, I guess they dropped that. So it kind of leave everything in a nutshell, because it's like the last couple of weeks that they've been building towards this whole unification match. Now they dropped it. Now it's like, what the hell was we watching the last couple of weeks? Now that you dropped it, we wasted our time with this, and you basically wasted TV time that could have went towards somebody else. Everything's just horrible right now. But looking at these ratings, everybody dropped, especially on the WWE side. Every show dropped.
Well, just to touch on just the temperature of everything over the past 2 weeks, since we really haven't discussed it, everybody's dropped, AEW included. I know I told you, the number one thing I always said about AEW's ratings is as long as they're within their target audience. Now, I don't know what their target audience is. I only know what my target audience is for AEW and what I see. And I always told you 970 to 1 million. Anything below that is questionable. And we've seen them drop into that 30,000. But then I got to looking at my calendar and I said, it is the NBA playoffs. And it's not like the playoffs have been bad. This is actually one of the better NBA playoffs, I say, within the last 5 years.
Very entertaining. I will say that.
Yeah, very entertaining. So I'm not too concerned even on WWE's numbers. Well, no, I am concerned on WWE's numbers because it seemed like, and I know everybody was up in arms, oh my gosh, Raw's around the twos. It's going back to where it used to be. And me and you we just sat here. And we said, let it play out. You even said it. I was stern that it was going to drop back to the 1-6. You said if it goes, then that's a problem. And it just goes to show you that. And I don't agree. I think Raw has been as interesting as it's been with this guy, but maybe Cody Rhodes wasn't the needle mover that we all thought he was going to be.
I think Cody. I think he was. He moved the needle, but it didn't. The needle increased, but it didn't keep increasing. You know how you in a car and you pressing on the gas and you see how the needle on the gas, it goes up. As soon as you lift your foot up, it goes dipping down. That's what it seems like. Cody, I believe it was something that they needed. But like you said, it's the middle of the playoffs right now too. So that do take away the viewerships to at least mid-June, I would say. But I mean, it just depends on where they go from here. It depends on how they utilize him and everything too. Like so far he's been on TV weekly. He had matches on Raw, and so that's good. But I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to see like a mega push, but a mega feud. Other than this Seth Rollins shit, it's probably after WrestleMania Backlash. I think that would be the deciding factor if Cody was really the needle that they needed, or if they need something else.
I'll say this: the problem that I'm running into is the same problem that I said he was going to have in WWE, and that's he's on TV too much. The beauty of AEW is he was never really on TV. You might see him this week, and then you might go 3 weeks without seeing Cody. I think that's a problem.
I think that's different between AEW and WWE, because WWE have a history of bringing in stars and then not showing. So like they have a history of being like inconsistent. Basically, you be on TV for a few weeks, then you be off TV for a few weeks, longer than that, and then by the time you come back, your original shit is done for, because it's like, you know, we ain't interested anymore. But I think if him being in AEW, he don't have to be on TV every week, as he proven. Him being in the WWE, he has to be on TV every week because it's WWE. They need their stars to be on TV every week. WWE don't build up upcoming stars for us to be okay with us not seeing Roman and the Usos on SmackDown. They don't build enough stars for us to be okay with us not seeing the United States champion and the big Raw stars every week. They need them stars because they don't build up new stars for us to be okay with. I'm okay with not seeing the champion this week because I have this upcoming star or whatever. No, they don't do that. So they have to use their stars. They have to be on TV weekly. They ain't gotta wrestle, but their face gotta be shown some way, somehow. I think that's really the difference between the two. AEW, they got their big stars and they're also building up stars. So even if you don't see Heyman, Adam Page, you are okay with seeing Adam Cole. You are okay with seeing the Young Bucks. You are okay with seeing FTR without the main champion.
Okay. One more thing I want to touch on before we jump into the news. Austin Theory, he dethroned Finn Balor. We're going to touch on Finn Balor later on. Yeah, I was going to say I didn't like it either.
Too late. I mean, right decision. Too soon.
Yes.
Build up for real.
Yes, I definitely.
Them just beefing, basically teaming up, in 6-man tags and shit, and then now you got a title shot. If you consider that to be a build up, then I guess. But other than that, no. Right decision, yes. I do agree with that. Austin Theory needed a gold around his waist soon. But it's too soon. I would have loved for y'all to at least build up some feud. Like, alright, you could have set it up the first time that they seen each other was a 6-man tag. You could have said, alright, boom. Then the next week, you could have had him basically, Austin Theory just basically set his attentions towards Finn Balor. Having him attack him or having him come out to his matches and watching and stuff like that. Just studying him. And then eventually Finn Balor just confronted him like, you know, you've been following me around for a while. What's up, basically? And then they set it up like, all right, WrestleMania Backlash, I want a title shot. And then they do it. And then Austin Theory pick up the title there. I would be okay with that. But the way they just did it, no, I don't like it. I don't agree. But I'll save the rest for when we talk about Finn Balor in the news.
I'll add this and then I'll go ahead and move on. You know, they did all of that, but they did it in the midst of the Austin Theory, Pat McAfee storyline. So it's kind of like, well, in a way, you're right, because they should have did that and it should have been catered towards their own feud instead of Finn Balor just being a third party.
It's like they put the belt on him. So basically, all right, Finn Balor's not gonna be on TV for like we don't have nothing for Finn Balor. But Austin Theory, he's the future star. He's gonna be the one that we gonna have on television, week in and week out. So, yeah, Finn Balor is the champion. So how are we gonna get the put it on Austin Theory. That's all that was. You want away. You're not using Finn Balor, but you want to keep the title on TV, but you don't have nothing planned for Finn. So what you do? Have him drop it to Austin Theory. That's it. That's how they did it. That's all I took that as.
Yeah, pretty much. Moving on to the news. Salamander, we had releases. It's always an unfortunate time when we talk about these. We don't advocate for anybody to lose their jobs. But WWE releases, we got to talk about them. Malcolm Bivens, Dakota Kai, Paige Prinzavali, Harlan, Mila Mulaney, Draco Anthony, Persia Parada, Sanjana George, Raylan Devine. So I want to touch. Go ahead.
Blair Baldwin. She was a referee.
No, I said that. I just used the real name.
Okay, my fault.
You know what? Now that I sit here, they had it, but they had her real name instead of like her real name being in parentheses.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. I want to touch on a few of these because I know you don't really pay attention to the NXT 2.0 product.
And now we see why.
Harlan hasn't been with Joe Gacy in about 3 weeks. Dakota Kai just had an NXT women's title match. Persia Parada was in a storyline with Indy Hartwell.
Literally just on TV.
Just
at least
on
like
TV.
3 to 4 of these people who've been released. It was literally just on TV as of Tuesday.
And Dexter Lumis.
As of Tuesday, they was on TV, got released by Friday.
What do you think about these releases?
I see why NXT can't get above 600,000. I mean, I don't know. They call it budget cuts, but is it really like it's called a budget cut, right? That's what they considering these releases to be, budget cuts. But it's like you cutting out the stars that made the show interesting. That's the shit I don't get. Are you cutting these stars off because they they make so much money a year? Are you trying to save? And then just putting your all into, the upcoming talent? Like, just like I told to you, we talked about this off the phone when it was breaking news, off the camera. You releasing the stars that actually know how to wrestle, but you choose to keep the stars that don't know how to wrestle at all. Like I said plenty of times before, NXT 2.0 development brand, right? So it's a development brand. Why have this shit on national TV? Why not keep it on the network, or in this case Peacock, so that way it's really feel like a development? Because now that y'all on TV, I expect for y'all to be perfect. I don't want to see y'all fuck up. I don't want to see y'all I don't want to see the choreography of the match. Like, I could tell y'all rehearsed this 20 minutes before y'all went live. I don't need to see that. That's what development's for. You need to be in the PC center. You need to learn how to cut promos, all that shit. And NXT, all that shit you should already know. Only thing NXT is for you to get used to wrestling in front of a live crowd. That's the only thing that should be different. Other than that, you shouldn't be making no mistakes. But instead of doing that, you releasing the stars who already have experience wrestling in front of a live crowd, who know how to work the cameras, who know how to work the crowd, so forth and so forth, and you putting your all into literally rookies, literally people who came from different sports, different avenues of everything, and now they stars and they on TV. It's cool that they getting that spotlight, but it's like it's hurting your product as well, because you are WWE. At this point, it's hurting your name. At this point, y'all releasing people every year and it be big people. At some point, motherfuckers not gonna sign with y'all because they gonna know the moment I'm off TV for 2 months, I'm gonna get released.
Well, Salamander, here's my problem with this piece of shit company, and I hate to refer to them like that, but here's my problem. Like you said, NXT is developmental. They went on record and said this is our developmental. So the reason they released Parker Bordeaux is because they feel he didn't progress fast enough. Well, he's in developmental. Why does it matter what his space is? I haven't seen him on TV for a full year, so you just like he ain't developed fast enough. I mean, you want him to be a giant. From the couple of matches I saw, I felt he did an adequate job. What more you want from him? But he's not about to be Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns just doing topes, over the top rope. That's not his job. But with him and the gimmick he was in with Joe Gacy, that shit works. Draco Anthony is another guy. I like Draco Anthony from what I saw. I could see him as a solid mid-carder on SmackDown. You can see him as an Intercontinental Champion maybe once or twice. He's the lower tier mid-card, but he definitely have room to be better. Same thing for Persia Parada. You just had these women in the NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, the NXT Women's Tag Team picture. So now you just destroy another tag team. This is the problem. Like you said, you're releasing people who know how to go. Dakota Kai is another one. Right. Dexter Lumis is another one. You could easily throw Dexter Lumis into that mid card. You could easily throw Dakota Kai into something. But then again, Dakota Kai said she didn't want to resign, so apparently she saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I got two things to say before we move on to the ratings, and then our last two stories. But it really seemed like WWE is really like they putting everything behind this Omos character, right? Because it seemed like they really needed to pair Omos up with a motherfucking manager, right? So for the longest, they were trying to find somebody for Omos to be a manager with, and they was trying to get LA Knight to be his manager, but we see that didn't work. And then before MVP was his manager, it was actually trying to do Michael Bevins to be his manager, but he declined to do it. That could be part of the reason why they went ahead and released him.
Yeah, they wanted him to resign, but he said he wasn't going to. So he saw the writing on the wall, and he was just on TV Tuesday too in a Diamond Mine segment. That's what I really can't stand about this company. It's like they don't even have the respect to respectfully take you off TV, knowing they about to fire you.
They don't have the respect to do that, and also if Dave Meltzer had reported on the Wrestling Observer Radio that NXT creative was very blindsided by the releases of NXT. So they don't have the respect to tell you that, hey, yeah, after your match, hey, yeah, we're gonna release you in like 3 days. They don't have the respect to tell you that, and they don't got the respect to tell the people who's actually booking NXT that, oh yeah, the storylines that y'all have for these people, we're gonna take them off TV. We're gonna release them. So the storylines they have for Perser, Dexter Lumis, Dakota Kai, it all went down the drain. And now NXT creative, I guarantee it's probably some low morale in NXT right now.
I mean, can you blame them? They dropped the ball twice with Dakota Kai. You could have put this belt on her on numerous occasions. You could have she could have been the one to beat Io Shirai, and then you run the Dakota Kai Raquel Gonzalez feud, or you do it how they did it at WWE in NXT, how they actually did it, and you have Dakota Kai beat Raquel Gonzalez. You had ample chances to put this belt on her, and you chose not to, and that's a shame because she's been NXT through and through.
It was 10 stars that had been released from NXT on Friday, right?
Right.
We already know that every year they go through these so-called budget cuts. They did NXT first. In the way they did it, I like it like this better than how they did it before. You start with the developmental and then move on to the main. But we already know when they go to the main, it's gonna be big stars. We already know. So, it is another budget cut is coming, and this time it's gonna target the main roster. I'm predicting in the next 3 weeks they'll be released. But one major person has not been confirmed or anything, but this is just my speculation. From the way that he's been utilized, and then for two, he just deserved better at this point. But I believe WWE is gonna release Finn Balor. I believe he's on the chopping block. You put the title on him. The only time he actually got a big push was in his first run in NXT, second run in NXT, and then when he first got called up to the main roster, they actually gave him a push. And then it was that when he got the injury, WWE just never utilized him at all. But just for that simple fact that, you know, he be getting jobbed out from time to time, and then they put the title on him. They had no plans for him, so they had him drop it. I just think, just the way that they going, I really believe they're gonna release him. And at this point, they release him. I'll say that's the best thing that happened in his career since he signed with WWE.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna throw a crazy name out there, LA Knight. He hasn't hit SmackDown TVs yet, so I think
yeah. But I was like, they could be just testing him out with these dark matches and house shows and shit. Because it may not be LA Knight, it might be Mace that they just trying to find the right person to pair LA Knight for. But D.O. Madden probably just ain't getting clicking in the ring for it to work with him.
I got the perfect guy to pair with LA Knight. He's on Raw running solo right now. Ezekiel. That's a money
too.
That's a money pairing. Now you can actually have somebody who can go toe to toe with a Kevin Owens or a Seth Rollins if you really need it on the manager side.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I can definitely see Finn Balor. I don't advocate for anybody to lose their jobs, but the way that they use Finn Balor, I wonder how long they're willing to keep him away from AEW, because they know once AEW gets somebody of that caliber, because that's a different caliber.
I think Finn Balor gonna go back to Japan. They're gonna go back to Japan, win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, because he never won that. Then he's probably gonna do some work in AEW. But I think he'll go back to Japan because I think he got unfinished business there. Just the fact that he never held the main title.
I can see that. Either way, he needs to go somewhere else, because Finn Balor has been greatly disrespected for far too long. And then you never gave him a chance after he was injured by their golden child, Seth Rollins. See, that's what they won't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they won't tell you.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins has pulled back there because, trust me, the first person that puts Seth Rollins on the shelf, they're done.
Moving on to the next, I got the ratings for this past week. Now, Raw had seen a decrease in the ratings as all shows have seen in this past couple of weeks. The episode had joined a 1.63 million viewers on the USA Network, which is down for the 1.647 million viewers it did last week. In the 18 to 49 demographics, the show did a 0.44 rating, which is down for the 0.47 rating it did a week ago. Now NXT joined the 577,000 live viewers on the USA Network, which is up from the 569,000 viewers it did a week ago. The 18 to 49 demographics did a 0.14 rating, and last week the show did a 0.12 rating. Now AEW Dynamite, they had joined 921,000 viewers, which is down from the 930 viewers it did a week ago. In the 18 to 49 demographics, it did a 0.33 rating, which is down for the 0.37 rating a week ago. We got SmackDown. SmackDown had brought in, during its first hour, 1.891 million viewers, and during the second hour, he had brought in a 1.826 million viewers. But the show had averaged a 1.85 million viewers, which is up for the 1.805 million viewers it did a week ago. In the 18 to 49 demographics, the show had did a 0.35 rating, which is up for what it did a week ago. So, I mean, it seemed like this whole week shit been decreasing everywhere. But like we said earlier, it's really believed because of the NBA playoffs right now. Now it's seeming like that maybe we not gonna get Shinsuke Nakamura versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe they are going to set up Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, mainly because of what happened this past Friday, and then they probably would give Roman just I don't even think it said that he's booked for WrestleMania Backlash, but his opponent haven't been announced yet.
He's in a 6-man tag.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like I don't think they was gonna put him in the singles because this is what they're going for. They're gonna go for that Drew McIntyre and Roman match, but it's gonna be at the one that's supposed to set in the UK, the pay-per-view.
I heard he's fighting Tyson Fury there.
I don't know. I heard two different things. I heard that too, but then I also heard that they're supposed to be doing the Roman shit, and then I also heard that they're supposed to do the Roman shit after Drew McIntyre fight Tyson Fury. Not Tyson Fury, but Tyson Fury.
I told my friend this. If there was ever a time where you could do a title change where you honestly don't have to give a fuck about the North American crowd, that's it. They're gonna cheer for Drew. So if you want to pull a title change, there you go. That's the place to do it. Now, just tell me you got a plan to correct this when you come back to the USA, because when you come back, the fans are gonna boo Drew out of the fucking building. So as long as you got a plan to correct it, hey, if you feel like doing a title change over there in England is the best way to give Drew his crowning achievement, which I wouldn't even be mad about. Right. He would definitely be one of the guys who, hey, Roman, Drew was here for us during the pandemic. He was running it on Raw. We wanted to give him his moment. We're going to let him beat you for the WWE, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Fine. But just as long as you got a plan to fix it, because the fans in North America are not going to like it.
Right.
Ratings wise, I'm not surprised at the NBA playoffs. SmackDown, that's actually a good number because you know that was taped. That wasn't live.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a really good number for a taped episode of SmackDown. I mean, you were tipped 300, 400,000 under from what you normally would be anyway. Like, that's not that bad. You didn't even see a 500,000 drop off for a taped episode. So that's good.
I'm glad that they ain't teasing no new title yet, that he's still coming out with both of them.
You know, it's their way of separating.
Yeah. I think once they combine both into one title, that's when it's a wrap. But I think right now it's still a chance because we see the titles are separate. But I think it's still hope. I sent you the picture of Cody Rhodes. When Cody, he the one that took the Intercontinental title the way it looked like in like 2003, 2004 and shit, and made it with the white title. I think he's gonna do the same thing when he defeat Roman for the WWE World Heavyweight title. He's gonna turn it back to the wing title, the title that was from his daddy era. I think that's what it's still hope for it. There's still hope. It's still hope that it will still be two titles instead of one. Even though I think one title, well, I don't know. I think one title will make it better. It will give people more TV time, but then it's kind of hard because that means the champion, whoever is the champion, got to work double shift, double duty. You got to work Raw and SmackDown because we need the champion on both shows. Unless you start bullshitting around and build up these mid-carders, and then you can build back up the prestige of your mid-card title, and that way when the champion is not on the show, everything will be good. Because then you could just book your mid-card to main event, and that shit, your United States or your Intercontinental Champion to main event, whatever show. They say the champion's on Raw, so now on SmackDown, the champion not gonna be on SmackDown, so then you go ahead and book your Intercontinental Champion to main event SmackDown, whatever. Like, they need to be building up these people if that's what they're gonna do. That way when champion's not on either show, it's okay. like I was saying with AEW, it's okay when you don't see the champion because they got so many stars they building up. It's okay that I didn't see. I didn't even notice that I didn't see the Heyman Page. I didn't even notice because they got so many people. So forth, so forth. WWE on the other hand, Roman ain't on the show. You know that shit because they ain't building nobody.
Cody beats Drew at WrestleMania 39, brings back the Winged Eagle that following Monday.
He could do it the same way. Throw it in the trash and then rip out the belt, and it's all in like a glorified sealed case. He just dumped the regular title on the belt in the trash. That'd be dope. Or he just cut a good ass promo holding the title up, and then he throw it out the ring. Like, get this shit out of here. He's like, now, like, he brings back the reference from Mixed TV, and he was like, the difference between a belt and a title, and he holding the WWE World Heavyweight title up. He like, this is a belt. He throw it out the ring, and then he rip out the new Winged World Heavyweight title, and he's like, this is a title. Just for a little callback.
They gonna can it as soon as Cody loses, so he better go on a nice little run with it too.
And I would have him go on like now, since you introduced it with Roman, whoever take the belt, whether it's the WWE title or Universal title, they have to hold it for a minimum of a year.
Oh,
Ain't no more 6-month runs, none of that shit. You had it, like, I think now, because before Bobby, he was one of the longest reigning. So having it like almost 6 months or whatever, or 5 months or something before Brock. And then, like, because ever since it seemed like when Bobby won it the first time, ever since him, I'll say ever since Drew McIntyre, because I ain't even gonna count the Miz, because he was like a transitional champion, so that way they ain't have to run that Bobby and Drew again for the title. So that's why they had him like they did that cash in and shit. Ever since them two, I believe those was like the last like long title runs with the WWE World Heavyweight title. Because ever since then, it been bouncing for a couple months and shit like that. And then they put on Roman, he gonna hold it for a little while, and then the next person who win it off of him, they gonna have to go on the year run just to build that prestige up. So now that WWE's introducing these long ass title runs again, they gonna have to keep it up. Because remember back in the day, there was people who would go on and have hold titles for 800 plus days, and then they drop it to somebody that hold it for 600 something days. Like they gonna have to. Roman Reigns is already over 1,000 days. So whoever he dropped the Universal title to has to hold that motherfucker for a minimum of 365 days.
He ain't at 1,000 days. He like at 600.
He at 1,000.
He's not at 1,000. 1,000 is like 3 years.
1,000 combined.
Oh, combined.
His title reign.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yes. Hey, 6-month title reigns are done. If you want to make whoever, because the person who beats Roman has to be legit, and the only legit person I see outside of Drew is Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I do want to see from this run? I want to see Roman Reigns fend off a Money in the Bank cash in. That's going to be what puts him at the true God tier. Because not too many people have fended off an actual cash in. I think Jinder did it. But, Jinder's run was trash. And we all knew the only reason why that happened.
Yeah. The man we can't see.
Yeah. Because Baron Corbin had the backstage heat, and that's what did him in. So I need to see Roman Reigns.
What that could have been like, man. If he never had that heat, when he cashed in, he actually won. Like, he probably would have never got this Happy Corbin shit, none of that.
He'd be a multi-time world champion. He probably be a 3-time world champion by now. Yeah. Because they would have had another person to throw the belt on. Anything else we want to add to the ratings before we move on to the final two?
Nah.
Moving on, we have Ember Moon. She was in the news. She did an interview with Chris Van Fleet, and she recalls when WWE asked the women to dress more sexier. So she says, my last 4 months was just one of those moments where I wasn't having fun anymore. It started with Shotzi being gone and drafted. I remember thinking I was sitting at home and I got a phone call saying, hey, we don't want you to be upset, but Shotzi just got moved to SmackDown and she's debuting with Tegan Knox as a tag team. She then goes on to talk about how the WWE staff wanted the women to dress more like Mandy Rose, and she goes on to say that she goes on to put over Mandy Rose, that Mandy Rose is an impeccable human being, which I absolutely agree with, and that's not kayfabe. I think she's a great person outside of kayfabe. But she just goes on to talk about how they just wanted the women to dress more sexier, and it just goes back to what I said when we were talking about this off camera. They're going back to the Divas era, and everything that they kind of was talking about with the women's division and the women's revolution was a sham. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, people power John Laurinaitis believes that women's wrestling isn't a draw, and that's my problem, because there are a lot of great performers on there. NXT 2.0 main roster. One of my bigger problems that we're going to get into later in our next story is that you don't give these women enough time. And just like you've always stated, and I never really saw it until I actually paid attention to how they booked their women's division. You will say this in the very beginning. They just lump their women together. So it looks like a lot of women are getting TV time, but it's the same people, and they just put them all together in about 1 or 2 big ass segments. So we can say,
That's
hey, we got you on TV.
They never really cared. They never... Even though they did the women's revolution shit, that shit lasted that year. That, like, I was really saying 2016 to 2018 was the women's revolution. After that, they started doing the bullshit. Because, mainly, yeah, they, like, everything in WWE never fucking lasts. Everything in WWE is always, like, a couple years, for real. If you think about it, any era is really, like, a few years, for real, like, the Ruthless Aggression era from 2007 or no 2002 to what 2008. But honestly, the Ruthless Aggression era was like honestly a few years. Like the a real Die Hard where they was really doing that shit. I would say from 2002 to 2006. Real, like 4 years. Like don't nothing really last that long in WWE. They do shit and then it's be like after a year, it's like kind of over with now. Like they promised us no rematches. And how long that shit lasts? Not that long. Don't nothing last. They give us WWE's like politics. They give us promises when doing their campaigns. Then when they get elected, they don't hold up to them. That's the perfect way to put it.
That is true, and I just see here, and I just look back at what she said, because this is very telling. Because this is PG. We're still in the PG era, so you're catering to children, which is a huge part of their fan base. So you want kids to have a good time. You want parents to feel comfortable with taking their kids to a WWE show, because you even said it, and I've noticed it. You don't really see kids at AEW shows. Not the kids that are the John Cena fans. You don't really see that. This is hardcore. If there are kids there, they're typically in their teens. They're teenagers. So she says, I remember going to my makeup artist and saying, I am so unhappy. We would have to sit through these stupid meetings about how we'd have to dress sexy. I remember looking at someone else and laughing. She says, I cater to children. I'm not about to wear fishnet booty butt cheek shorts because we had a 2-hour meeting about how to dress like Mandy Rose. She also says that's not fair. Mandy is an absolutely phenomenal and amazing person, but not everyone is Mandy. That is another thing. Not everybody's fucking Mandy Rose. Not everybody wants to put themselves out there in that type of way. Mandy can do it. And honestly, it's one of the things that have launched Mandy's second half of her career into the stratosphere. Leader of Toxic Attraction, NXT Women's Champion. I mean, she wasn't. And again, this is no fault of her own. She was still learning. She was nowhere. She wasn't even half this good on the main roster. But then again, maybe they just didn't want her to be.
You know why she wasn't good on the main roster? She could have been good on the main roster. The reason why is because Mandy Rose. Like, I'm sorry, but there's certain people who signed with WWE. You could tell they've been a multi-time champ in the early 2000s when it was the Divas era. Some of these women, they are actually women wrestlers, so they fit with the main roster shit. Like Ember Moon, she fit perfectly on the main roster. She just never been utilized. She didn't really fit like that at NXT because she stood out because she was a wrestler. She wasn't what I'll call it, a diva entertainment, like a Nikita Lyons. Like, she's not a wrestler. She's for entertainment. She's for eyes, basically. Mandy Rose, she cool in the ring, but she's cool if this was 2007, 2006. That's what like if you like Bailey, like the Four Horsewomen. They go to NXT now, they will not fit in because they are actually wrestlers. They're not for the diva stuff. That's why certain people NXT, they're going towards you can kind of tell they're going towards the diva shit again. That's why certain people on NXT fucking fits. Tiffany, what her name? Tiffany Stratton.
No, I see where you're going. I see where you're going. And to an extent, you're right, but I wouldn't lump Mandy Rose in there. I feel like Mandy Rose is a hybrid, especially with how she's looked at NXT, because she's now learning to control a match as a heel. She's starting to get the little bits and pieces that she was missing. So I think if you throw Toxic Attraction back out there on the main roster, yeah, they're gonna have the sex appeal, but they can also go in the ring.
Yeah, of course. Like before, she had the sex appeal. She had the divas appeal when she was first on the main roster and everything. So she went back in NXT and then learned how to work the in-ring work and all that stuff. I agree with that, but the look that she has and the look that how she came on the main roster, we seen how the other women attire was, the one who actually wrestles, versus how her attire was when she came on the main roster. It screams Divas era. Now that she went to NXT, yeah, she working on in the ring, but her persona and everything still screams Divas era. That's what WWE is going for. Her look, that's what WWE wants. They want that Divas era look. That's what they texted in with NXT now. Once NXT bring in the consistent 700,000, they're moving that shit on the main roster.
So what you're saying is we could see Nikita Lyons on the main roster in about 6 months.
Yeah, it's WWE. They're gonna go back. WWE history. Somebody always say history repeats itself. Remember what WWE? You could just be watching Raw, SmackDown, then we just get a call up out of nowhere, like somebody just made their debut. It's gonna be back like that. Like, ain't gonna be no point for NXT. NXT gonna be the third brand, and then not even a development brand, and then it's just gonna be free game. Like, people just gonna be making their main roster. All 3 shows gonna be the main roster. They just gonna be making their debuts and shit. But it's gonna be back how it was. Like, you're gonna have your Julian Halls that's just there for a comedian act, and then you're gonna have your Ashley Mazzaros, rest in peace, but they had a sex appeal that can wrestle. You're gonna have your Candice Michelle's that can go like the same one that can have a sex appeal but can wrestle. You're gonna have your Beth Phoenix, which is the 4 horsewomen, the women that can wrestle and shit, who don't care about the sex appeal, who just don't care about their in-ring work. You're gonna have that. And then you're gonna have your motherfucking, damn, I forgot the names. But just the literally diva shit that's gonna be there doing the ones that was always participating in the mug wrestlings and shit, like the mug baths and all that shit. The Kelly Kellys. You gonna have those. That's what WWE gonna go towards.
You know what's funny?
WWE, you already know WWE cares about their men. They don't care about their women roster. They can give two fucks about the women roster. They care about the men. That's why they put everything in the women's in one big ass segment and say fuck it. I can't say we ain't put women's wrestling on TV this week, even though it was five minutes out of a fucking 3-hour show.
You know what's funny? This is the vision that Triple H had. Triple H wanted main roster guys to come down to NXT. He wanted NXT people to go up to the main roster. He really wanted to be looked at as a third brand. And Vinnie Mac said, "Nah, my roster's too good to step foot in NXT. But you can gladly give us your people when you feel like they're ready." So now with NXT 2.0, they're doing everything that Triple H wanted to do, and they're doing it 10 times worse than how he would have done it. Like, we would have never seen AJ Styles just show up on a random episode of NXT when Triple H was running it.
They would have teased that shit at a takeover.
Exactly. They would have teased that shit at a takeover. You might have seen a glove.
They would have teased it at a takeover. He would have came on NXT, called him out and shit, challenged him and all that shit like that. And then AJ would have been back on the main roster and they both would just have been throwing shots at each other until the next takeover. And then that's where they would have had a match.
AJ Styles, Samoa Joe at TakeOver. That sounds like a 5-star classic.
Cause we got that on the main roster.
Yeah, but at the main roster and
times we seen it on TNA and all that shit too.
Triple H.
I would rather have they could do at the time. Let's say if he was running it, they could do AJ Styles versus Braun Breaker. That'd been cool. I don't think Triple H would have went as far as having the main roster talent winning the title unless you gonna be on this motherfucker every week, like how they did with Dolph Ziggler. I don't think he wouldn't have went that far.
I like that though. I want the Miz to be the next one to do it. Throw in some of them mid-carders who you don't want to put mid-card belts on. Can you imagine the Miz running NXT with Maurice?
It's not gonna happen because I expected this Dolph Ziggler shit to last a little bit longer. It should.
They've already moved on from Dolph. He's fighting Joe Gacy. He might lose that.
It should have stayed on Dolph for a while. Dolph should have held that shit for a minute, at least 6 months, to get the viewership to NXT and all that shit. So had that be his shit, so that way when he get back on SmackDown on the main, I would have had him do that, but not even have him be on SmackDown or have him appear every now and then. But when he do appear on SmackDown, he's in a tag match with Bobby Roode. But then while he in NXT, you got Bobby Roode doing his shit on SmackDown as a single star, so you could just do that shit, and then when you done, bring them back up.
I like your idea. I think they gone about this wrong.
Yeah,
I think Roman Reigns and the Bloodline need to step foot down there.
They will do it, but I don't think so, because Roman, he gonna be the type to be like, I don't need that shit.
Exactly. But I'm gonna win it just cause I want all the gold.
He gonna shit on it.
Exactly. That'll be the one belt that he can carry the old school way, having come out with it, but it's to the back, so you never see it. And then when Paul Heyman is holding it, it's the NXT side is away, isn't facing the camera, so you only see the back of the belt.
Or just have him do this. Have him come out. He wear the Universal title on his waist. It's a picture I seen on Twitter. He did it one time and it looked beautiful. He wear the Universal title on his waist. Have the World Heavyweight title on his shoulder, facing the camera though. And then when he do his pose, Paul Heyman is holding the NXT title, and he hand him over the NXT title. He holding both of them. We see the sight of him holding all 3 titles. He give the NXT title back to Paul Heyman, and then he just walk down the ring and finish his entrance like that. That's a title he only hold for a picture. But other than that, my wise man have it.
I like my idea better. But I like that idea though. I like that idea. But yeah, back to the Ember Moon thing, and then we can move on. It's just, I don't know why you're going for sex appeal, especially with Ember Moon. She caters, like she said, I cater to children. isn't that the target audience? Because if you get a family to like WWE, then they're going to bring their kids to the shows. So why are we trying to bring up women like Nikita Lyons and Mandy Rose if we're still catering towards children? Because that's I as a company that's global, that's publicly traded, I can only imagine that they're hoping. I can only hope that they're spreading love and positivity instead of these three women who use their looks and their physique to get over.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't like it. I felt like I told you off camera. They're moving towards the divas. I don't like it. Like I told you, I want to see what that in ring work like.
Exactly.
Last story, AEW. Becky Lynch talks about the AEW women's division. I have a lot to say about this, but I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna just tell you what she said. She was a guest on Drew Garbaugh feature cut of the day. This is what she says about the AEW women's division. She was asked her take on AEW's women's division and how are they represented. She says, I wish I could say yes, but unfortunately, I don't think they are represented the way we are. They don't get as much time as we get, and frankly, they're not as good as we are. We have certainly on Raw, we have the best women's division in the world. I say that without any hesitation in my voice. We have the best women's division in the world. She was then asked if there was anybody who she sees on her level or their level. She says competition is great and it's great to be she says competition is great and it's great for there to be another place, and I have a very good friend, Ruby Soho, over there, and I would love to see her as champion one day. I would love to see her get the spotlight she deserves. Competition is always great. Over here, we're on another level.
Mainly, I think she's playing her heel character, so she has to say that. Another thing, it has been reported that WWE told their stars you cannot talk about not NXT but AEW now. Maybe this is the reason why, because WWE probably realized, like, all right, yeah, you say that shit, now the fans about to really come out with the shit, because they know for a fact about I'm stuttering. It's a lot of shit I gotta say. First of all, she said they get more television time. You fucking, I'm sorry, Becky Lynch, but you a fucking lie. No. Y'all may show more women on TV, but y'all all get the same time, which is 10 minutes. On a 2-hour show or a 3-hour show. That's it. WWE do not give a fuck about what y'all got going on. Y'all had one of the hottest storylines going on with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. Y'all fucked that up and y'all just kept her off of TV. I think she's probably unhappy right now and all this stuff. Like, that's it. If you ain't showing skin, you ain't getting on TV. That's how WWE is going in right now. And then if you is on TV, they gonna slump. It don't matter if you showing skin or not. You gonna get your 5 minutes. That's it. A 5 minute out of a fucking 90-minute show or whatever, like a fucking on SmackDown be like 90 minutes because of the commercials and shit. 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. That's all y'all get. Y'all Royal Rumble was quick as fuck. Like, it just shows you that's what they care. If you not a Charlotte, a Sasha, a Bayley, or a Becky, you getting 5 minutes. Or a Ronda, I would say, you getting 5 minutes.
You say Bianca?
I'll put Bianca up there too. If you're not them, you getting 5 minutes.
I'm glad you said that. I don't mean to cut you off, but I got a lot to say too. I'm gonna hand it back to you. But real quick, outside of them, nobody sees TV time. So you can't sit here and say the level is here, because you can say the level's here, but once we get done with y'all 5, I can pretty much say AEW got about 3 or 4 that's leaps and bounds above the top 5. Like, underneath that top 5, you guys are very suspect. when we talk about just in-ring work and women who get the time.
I am a WWE mark, and I enjoy the women wrestling at AEW more than WWE. To me, the women wrestling at AEW, they get more time. WWE on Raw, one women match, a women's tag match,
3 minutes.
2 women's segments, 7 minutes, not a piece, altogether. That's it. That's how it is. But on AEW,
that's one match. That's one women's match.
I get a match, and I get another match. I get a match in the beginning of the show, and I get a match towards the end of the show. And in between that shit, I get a segment. Even if WWE shows more women on their television, we get better quality matches on the other side.
Well, listen to this. At WrestleMania 38, right?
Mm-hmm.
So WrestleMania 38 on a 2-day event, they got 3 women's matches on a 2-day event. You know, the last AEW pay-per-view we had, there were 3 women's matches altogether.
Mm-hmm. In one day. Like
and
5 hours.
And y'all managed over a 2-day stretch to only get 3 women's matches.
All title matches too. Like, if you're not in the title feud, we ain't got nothing to do with you. You just ain't relevant. But like I said, I don't think she actually mean it. She know AEW got the best women wrestling right now. But she just had to play up to our heel character, and plus she with WWE, so you ain't gonna talk shit about your company. But at the same time, AEW, WWE, or Impact, who has the better women roster? Because D'Lo Brown, he believe Impact has the better one.
I believe it. Here's the thing. You 9 times out of 10, a women's division match outside of the top 5, and for real, I'll say the top 7, because I want to throw Naomi and Sasha Banks in there. Like, outside of that,
Sasha was already there.
Oh, well,
the 4 horsewomen.
Okay, yeah. So 5, 6.
The singles run, and she's the title. If she doing a singles run, she get the decent amount of TV. So the 4 horsewomen, along with Bianca, and then Naomi. So yeah, 7.
Yeah, outside of that top 7, like, y'all matches is 3 minutes, and then we can even include the top. I say the top. No,
the top 7. Y'all lucky if WWE give y'all 10 minutes in a match.
Right.
That's it. The top 7 may be the only ones that can go 10 minutes, but if you below that top 7, you getting 3 minutes tops.
3 minutes tops.
And the tag match 5.
Now I've seen them do 3-minute tag teams.
I was being generous.
I'm not. I mean, we gotta be for real. And the for real, I get why she said it. Live up to that heel character, but you gotta be honest. AEW's women's division, it's better than WWE's, and that's a sad sight to see, because AEW's women's division is nowhere close to what it should be.
Right.
It's just that once you get done with our top 5, that second half they're still really good.
But it's WWE fault because they don't know how to build the next stars. That's what they're not doing, and that's what AEW doing. That's simple.
No, I agree, and it's sad. It's sad because you know what hurts my heart when I saw Roxy sign there, and I just didn't get it. Like, you went to WWE when you could have went to Impact, really got over there, or came to AEW and really got over here, went to Stardom. You chose to give your career to WWE at 20. She had so much more wrestling to do.
I mean, it's still hope. You know, WWE. I don't agree. I don't like anybody losing their job, but WWE release people every other month. She can release I look at it as a blessing. Anybody get released from WWE at this point is a blessing, especially if you're not getting utilized right now.
I mean, yeah.
WWE is giving me vibes of how WCW was back in like when it started falling down. When we kept seeing the Hulk Hogan's, like we only seen the big names on TV, and then it was the people that actually jumped shit from WCW to WWE that was actually good ass wrestlers. The Rey Mysterios, the Eddie Guerreros, the Dean Malenkos, so forth and so forth. Those was the ones that actually was trying to get a push, who actually deserve a push, but they kept giving it to the top stars who actually didn't deserve it.
Couldn't agree more.
That's what they're doing. History repeats itself. I'm not saying WWE gonna go downhill and they're gonna be WCW get bought out and shit like that by AEW or whatever. But history do repeat itself. I mean, they can come out this slump, but I mean, this is what they're doing.
I don't think they can come out the slump because they'll never be able to book themselves out of the slump. I mean, you pretty much had Bianca Belair get 3 wins in her hometown just to justify Sonya Deville truly breaking up Carmella and Queen Zelina, but I thought they was beefing after they lost their titles at WrestleMania. Like, what are we doing?
They was actually beefing before. They was beefing before, because it all started with Queen Zelina realized that Carmella was focused on Corey Graves. Then they title match at WrestleMania, and then that's what actually started the tensions. Then when they dropped it, that's where they should have told the story of the breakup. I'm telling, I don't know who they hiring. They don't know. It's like the people who they hiring to do this stuff don't know shit about wrestling.
They probably don't. They probably know sitcoms.
TV stars and shit. That's what they doing. Hiring Hollywood writers and not the actual ones. Like, what's his name? The president of WWE.
Nick Khan.
Yes, he don't know nothing about wrestling, but he's treating WWE like a business. He's running it like a business. Granted, he's giving WWE, they making the most money they ever made, but at the same time they releasing. We see the people who they release and shit like that. We see the stuff that happened after since he took over. So it's kind of like it leads you to think. The question is it bad or good? Because they're making good money, but they're losing good talent. So is it a bad thing or a good thing? We don't know. It's one of those, like, I guess we just gonna have to see in the future how it is.
I mean, apparently they got romance comedy writers in there because I feel like they put more effort into the 24/7 bullshit with these motherfuckers getting married and then teasing a lesbian angle, teasing changing husbands, to Reggie trying to pin Dana Brooke and all of the shenanigans. I feel like they put more effort into that bullshit than what's the fuck is going on with Roman Reigns, RK Bro, and the Usos.
Right. It's like the storylines that you could tell is good. They got the actual writers that probably was like former wrestlers that's writing that shit or whatever. The Roman Reigns story or the Usos and the RK Bro story, like them storylines that they care about, that you seen like a lot of effort go behind. Those be the ones that actually people who actually understands wrestling be with. And then the bullshit.
I mean, people love the 24/7 bullshit, so they must put a lot of time and effort into it because that always gets a pop.
It's because it's romance. Like you said, who doesn't love a good love story? It's cool, but I don't like it on my TV or my wrestling shit. I want to see more wrestling. I don't want to see this shit, you know. But I mean, MJF made out with his girlfriend, bro. That was awesome. But what MJF did the week prior,
he beat CM Punk twice.
What was he doing before all that? He was a wrestler. They just be doing this backstage shit. They ain't really been in the ring wrestling like that. This is just an act right now. So it's like, I mean, it'd be different if they was wrestling weekly or whatever, or every other they have a match this week, then the next week they do the storyline shit like that or something. Then I'll probably be like, all right, but they're not even wrestling. This is totally a sitcom or totally fucking love story. The stories right now, this whole 24/7 shit is literally the stories right now because ain't nobody wrestling.
Listen, bro, it's love.
I don't want it on TV. I don't want it on my wrestling TV. If you're not gonna wrestle, don't show it. Put the shit on the network.
Then we'll never experience it.
Good.
Listen, they teased the whole lesbian angle. I don't have nothing else to say.
Yeah. But that's it for today's dudes. Go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push post notifications for daily wrestling videos. I'm Camilio Salamander. It's KB the Mart. Simply, we some fucking marks. Damn. Do we even love sports entertainment at this moment now?
Oh yeah, I love sports entertainment. They threw a fireball in Eddie Kingston's face. You gotta love sports entertainment. It's Tony D'Angelo. It's Tony D'Angelo. You gotta love sports entertainment.
There you have it.
I started with nothing and came out a king. I've been the one that's been balling for rings. It's been me and my team and we chasing the green. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free.